Right now, we are amidst the waters of the world ocean. It's an incredible feeling to observe these endless expanses, to realize their power and boundlessness. On the one hand, it's intimidating, but on the other hand, it lures and mesmerizes with its mystery. But do we realize how important, I would even say how critical, the role of the ocean is in our lives? To understand this, let's consider a simple example. We are in a room with the air conditioning unit of our vessel. Without it, life on this ship would be unbearable. It regulates the climate, temperature, and humidity, and saturates our air with oxygen. The ocean does the same on our planet. It covers 70% of it, creates favorable conditions for life, regulates temperature and humidity, and also provides 80% of the oxygen in our atmosphere. But there's another very important function that it performs. In addition to creating the necessary conditions for life, it also protects it. What exactly does the ocean do, and what does it protect the inhabitants of the planet from? One of the most important functions performed by the ocean is cooling the Earth's interior. Like an enormous air conditioning system, through the atmosphere, it releases into space the internal heat, which is transmitted to the lithospheric plates by the heated mantle and magma chambers. The ocean performs heat exchange and cooling functions, just like the cold water in nuclear reactors. The ocean plays a special role during the peak stress on our planet during the 12,000-year cycle of catastrophes, when additional energy is coming from space to the Earth's core. External impact leads to additional heating of the Earth's interior, which only increases the stress on the ocean. Moreover, every 24,000 years the impact is several times more intense and the heating is greater. Today, the dynamics of seismic and volcanic activity on Earth already indicate that we are approaching the peak of this 24,000-year cycle. The only difference is that we are approaching it much faster than in all previous cycles, which is very alarming. And this threatens that in our cycle, a catastrophe may occur that has never happened before. A magma rupture in the Mariana Trench, leading to a powerful explosion that would shut down the core and burst the atmosphere. Such a catastrophe will not only lead to the end of humanity as a species, but also to the death of the very planet Earth. Why did our planet go through all previous cycles, but this time it will not? Why was there less heat in the Earth's interior in previous cycles, and the Earth coped with it, but now it cannot? Where has the malfunction occurred? What is the reason? And there is an answer to these questions. The failure occurred in the ocean. We are the reason for that. Currently, the ocean's heat conducting function is disrupted. It can no longer release heat into the atmosphere in the required amount. This happened precisely now because never before in millions of years have microparticles been added to the ocean, which we have done. Oil is hydrocarbons. Hydrocarbons at the molecular level critically reduce the ocean's heat conductivity. It is oil that is the raw material for the production of one of the main pollutants of the ocean, plastics. The fact is that when it gets into the water, it does not decompose, but breaks down into microparticles, so-called micro and nanoplastics. Since plastic is a derivative of hydrocarbons, its particles at the micro level change the chemical composition of the oceanic water and its acidity, reduce the heat capacity of water, and impair heat conductivity. How do plastic nanoparticles end up in the ocean? The only reason for this is us humans. Humanity began mass-producing plastic in the 1950s. And now, almost everything that we have produced during this time is already in the ocean. Entire islands of plastic cover the surface of the ocean. Their total area is practically equal to the territory of the United States and Australia combined. But the worst part is that all the plastic that we see on the surface is only 1%. And 99% of the plastic is in the waters of the ocean. Micro and nanoplastics have already permeated the entire thickness of the ocean. Just imagine how much of it has accumulated there. In fact, today there is no place in the ocean that does not contain microplastics. Even in the deepest point of the ocean, the Mariana Trench, at a depth of 11 kilometers, there is microplastic. What's frightening is that it is precisely in this place where microplastic is most prevalent. Yet, this is the most vulnerable place on our planet, where heat dissipation is most important to prevent a catastrophe. Oil enters the ocean in its primary form as well. Annually, up to 30 million tons of oil enter the ocean as a result of extraction, transportation, and accidents. To understand how much this is, let's do some simple calculations. Assuming that 1 ton of oil covers an area of 12 square kilometers of the ocean's surface, if we poured these 30 million tons of oil into the ocean at once, it would cover 360 million square kilometers of water with an oil film. That being said, the total area of the world's ocean is 361 million square kilometers. That is, this film would cover the entire ocean. Now, you can imagine what enormous volumes these are. Oil enters the ocean continuously. Some of it evaporates, but its largest part, 60%, settles on the ocean floor. Oil also forms a film on the ocean surface. Aerial photography has recorded that nearly 20% of the ocean's surface is already covered by such an oil film. It further blocks the ocean's ability to release heat and overall disrupts its evaporation by more than twice. As a result of pollution by hydrocarbons and plastic, the ocean has lost its capacity to release heat. Instead, it accumulates it inside, causing even more warming from endogenous heat from the planet's interior. Thus, we, humans, through our activities have disrupted the system that had been functioning for millions of years before us, killing its important link, the ocean. As the ocean is currently struggling to cool, and is dissipating less heat, it is starting to warm up at the bottom. A warming 0.04 of a degree Celsius has been detected at a depth of 4.5 kilometers. It may seem like a small value. In a room, we wouldn't even notice such an increase. But imagine what this means on a planetary scale. What this means in terms of millions of cubic kilometers of ocean. And off the coast of North America, for example, there has been a rise in the ocean bottom temperatures of up to 5 degrees Celsius. As a result of the temperature increase in the bottom waters, huge volumes of heated water rise to the surface, the so-called blobs. The temperature of these zones can rise up to 6 degrees Celsius above the surrounding water. These blobs can reach as big as, for example, the area of Texas in the USA. And there are more and more of such giant blobs appearing. Such anomalies indicate that the ocean is dying, and its temperature regime is seriously disturbed. The increase in ocean bottom temperature leads to catastrophic consequences, as it represents a huge amount of energy that was unable to be released from the Earth's interior. This energy is equivalent to the power of millions of nuclear bombs aimed against us. It accumulates in the depths and leads to even greater heating and expansion of magma. And this inevitably leads the planet to a hydraulic impact in the Mariana Trench. The accumulation of endogenous energy inside the Earth intensifies the instability of the planet's core. Thus, the core is destabilized not only by the external impact from space, but also due to the accumulation of excess energy within the Earth's interior. And the more the core is destabilized, the weaker the electromagnetic field becomes. Our shield, which protects us from all kinds of dangerous cosmic radiation, is disappearing before our eyes. In turn, the weakening of the magnetic field leads to the thinning of the atmosphere. A recent study showed that the thickness of the stratosphere has already decreased by 400 meters since 1980. And this is a critical indicator. The atmosphere is supposed to transport excess heat from the ocean into space and protect our planet from harmful cosmic radiation. but plastic nanoparticles rise with oceanic evaporation from the ocean into the atmosphere and change its chemical composition. Because of this, instead of transferring heat further, the atmosphere accumulates it. As a result, the Earth is now absorbing more energy than it releases into space. This, in turn, increases the greenhouse effect. Because of this, the ocean is warming from both above and below, and is accumulating even more heat. Thus, we see that today, the ocean is not coping with its function of cooling the tectonic plates and releasing heat into the atmosphere, because it is warming up from both above and below. As a result of the weakening of the electromagnetic field and the disruption of atmospheric functions, cosmic radiation enters our Earth much more actively, causing further destabilization of the core. Thus, we see a vicious circle that leads our planet and ourselves to destruction. This is why we will not go through this cycle and why we are approaching it much faster. Because we have killed the ocean and it no longer performs its initial function. We have been witnessing signs of the death of the ocean for many years now, and this is happening at an extremely rapid pace. This includes the mass extinction of plankton, which is responsible for releasing oxygen into the atmosphere. This also includes the death of the Great Barrier Reef, which existed for 25 million years, but practically died within just 100 years due to the warming and acidification of the ocean. All of these processes are only a consequence of the main tragedy. The ocean has lost its ability to dissipate heat into the atmosphere. We have disrupted the function of our main life-supporting air conditioner. We have clogged its pipes. As a result, more and more heat stays inside the Earth, and magma heats up even more. We ourselves are pouring oil on the fire. Currently, we are witnessing the growth of destructive cataclysms much earlier than they should have started. This includes the melting of the Antarctic and Greenland glaciers from the bottom up, abnormal heating of Western Siberia, increased seismic and volcanic activity all over the planet, and awakening of stratovolcanoes. This is how we ended up in this situation. The entire human race, along with our planet, has a high probability of not surviving this cycle, and it's all because of our stupidity and mindless consumerism that have killed the ocean. And we did this at the most dangerous moment in time, precisely when we needed its protection the most, during the cycle of climate catastrophes. For millions of years, the ocean protected us and was the only mechanism of defense, and now we've killed it. And we are left alone and defenseless in the face of a global threat. Do we have a chance to survive all this? Yes, we do. But for this, we need technologies that will protect us from space radiation and help clean the ocean of hydrocarbons. Everyone is stingy with money, and no one will allocate resources for this. Moreover, it is necessary to eliminate the cause, cosmic radiation, and today, no one is solving this problem. As for those who could solve it, brilliant scientists today work for the military-industrial complexes of their countries, and it will always be so in the consumerist format. That is why we need different conditions to solve this problem. We will have such conditions only in the creative society. Building the creative society is our only chance. What will happen if we don't do this? We will perish long before 2036. Recall the millions of nuclear bombs that have already started ticking under our feet, and answer yourself to the question, is life worth a little effort to save it? What will you choose? The death of the planet or the creative society? That's the choice you're making right now.